Engineering students, we're back in the wood shop on CNC router training. This particular video is going to focus on a way to mount your work, secure your work to what's called the spoil board. This spoil board is designed such that it can be cut into and we can use it as a sacrificial bit of material. To mount things to the spoil board, one of the best ways I've found over the years is to utilize these ingredients: painter's tape, blue painter's tape, and super glue. And I'll show you how that works. For this demonstration, I've got a piece of stock here, just some oak wood that I've put some green paint onto, UND green. All right, the first thing we're going to do to secure our work is to tape the back side of your work. For this time, I'm going to run and put 3 pieces of tape on there. All right, not real fussy about it, as you can see. And then I'm going to lay this out somewhere on the table and put 3 pieces of tape that would line up with them. All right, and this could be pretty much anywhere on that table space. We can, don't have to be too fussy about where it's laid out. So maybe you just grab a spot on the spoil board that doesn't have a lot of cuts. So I've got tape on the spoil board and tape on the work that we're planning to hold down, and then this is where the super glue comes in handy. So grab the super glue, and you can imagine where I'm going with this. I'm just going to, come on, it's a new bottle. Do I need to do something to open that up? Let me just squeeze harder and see if I can get the material out of it. Okay, we'll figure this out in a moment. Well, how do you like that? 2 brand new bottles of super glue. Just open them fresh out of the package, and both of them are solidified. So, going to find more super glue. Well, I was in luck, found another bottle of super glue, and this one actually seems to be liquid. So that's great. We'll return those back to the store. Also, I'm going to clean up my mess, so don't worry about that business there. So as I was saying, we just simply apply the super glue to the back side of the tape, kind of make a little squiggle lines. That looks fantastic. And it doesn't take a whole lot to hold down your material, so you can maybe see, oh, look at the squiggle lines. Yes, indeed. Now we're going to take that and place our work down on top, so the tape is got a layer of super glue in between there. And with a little bit of pressure and hold down force, I can get this to lock down. I generally hang on to it for a few moments while we're getting it set, and you can kind of tell it starts to solidify. If you're rocking, maybe you've got some material underneath there, so you do want to make sure that you've got 2 planes that are flat to one another, and that's going to work best to hold down your work. So like that, voila, it's pretty much good to go. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is to show you how we can zero in on our workpiece. So we've got it set up, it's on the bed, and now we're going to get that computer software pulled up here. And I think what I'm going to do is hit a rapid position, get the router to move to that middle center position, and then we're going to zoom in on a couple of features here. So I want to find out where the corner of our work is and do what's called some zeroing of our different axes. As I'm facing the work here, this is the lower left-hand corner, and I'm going to jog the router to that location. So I'm going to move that jog screen over. Let's see. Yep, there's the corner I was looking for. Want to make sure I'm there. Going to use the jog controls to get me to a nice location. So for this time I've got it set up for fast, and I'll just use the arrows on the keyboard to jog the machine where I need it. So driving it forward, trying to get that router bit lined up with the center, jogging it over. That's looking pretty close, as you guys can see here. How close you get to this depends on the accuracy and if you're trying to line up on an existing piece. If I'm just cutting out and I've got a lot of space around it, I don't need to be too fussy. But a couple of tips and tricks to help you out with this. Once you've got it approximately where you'd like to see it, then decrease your jogging speeds so that you can have it just be incremental. And here it's going to move 1/4 of a millimeter with every push of our buttons. So we can get in here and just kind of jog it to the location that we'd like to see it. And what I'd like to do is try to get it lined up with the edge of the part. So the center axis is in line with the edge of the part. So just kind of using the page up, page down, left, right, up, down arrows to get the machine aligned where I'd like to see it. All right, and maybe I have to get another view to look at this a different way. Okay, that looks pretty good. So again, the view shown here doesn't necessarily agree with that, but from what I can tell, it's nearly the center is lined up with the two edges. So we should be good to go in terms of the X and Y zeroing. So that's where we get into this button here. It says set 0. So I'm good with X, good with Y. I have set those up to 0, 0 coordinates. Perfect. The Z, we're going to try a little bit different approach with that. So I'm going to go back to jogging the machine. I got to hit done. And then we're going to jog the machine just so I get it hovering over the material. So go back to a fast jog, and I'll show you what my method is here for getting the machine jogged into location. All right, so we're going to jog it over, so we're just nicely hanging out over the material. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a nice thin piece of paper here, but I wasn't quite ready for it. So if I get a piece of paper, ideally, a nice thin Post-it note, something like that, I can get this machine right here, and ideally I'm trying to zero the Z-axis on the top of the part. Now that's already bound up, and that's not real good. So I'm going to change my jog speed. Probably should have done that before. And we're going to go with a nice slower increment. That looks good. And then back to our router shot here. We're going to pop this up a little bit until the paper is free. All right. And I just kind of wiggle it back and forth until I feel a little bit of tension there. Or you can eyeball it too. Yep, that looks great. So I'm going to call that as my Z-axis 0. Back to the software. We're going to hit Z-axis 0, set 0, Z-axis. We're good to go. So X and Y are visually aligned with the edge. Get the center of the axes aligned with that. Then Z, a paper test, is a great way to go to get that dialed in and set up. So that's how we'd set up our material, get it mounted, and now this would be ready for us to load a program and run the router.